Hey love, so I guarantee you right now, if you're manifesting your specific person, you are seeing much more results than you think you are, and you're actually selling yourself short. And this is definitely a concept I've seen in a lot of my coaching sessions, and I've seen it in my own life as well when it comes to manifestations. And I'll give you examples, but the trick of this is in our external reality, we really like to look at things as they are currently rather than focusing on what they could be in our imagination. But as we know, our imagination is the creator of all things in our reality, and our assumptions always harden into fact outside of us. So to then manifest and bring exactly what we want into our reality, we need to take our focus off of what's happening in our external reality and focus it in our imagination. And this is obviously something you've heard from a million different coaches, and you probably think about it every single day. Like, oh yeah, it's just so easy if I could just ignore my 3D, right? And stop focusing on it and focus more on our imagination. And I would get into how persistence is really, really important when it comes to this idea, but I want to focus on this specific thing in this video. So again, referring back to the idea that we usually look at things in our external reality as they are, as compared to what they're going to be as in accordance with our assumptions. I want to relate this to, think of the bridge of events. So the bridge of events is constantly and always taking us to exactly what we desire. So if you are going to imagine that you're married with your specific person, then your mind, whatever you logically think is going to be the most, not the most logical path, but what you think could be possible to lead you to that outcome is going to be the outcome that you receive and see outside of you. And that is then why whenever you manifest something, again, let's say you want to manifest for marrying and living the perfect life with your specific person. In that case, it may not always look like tomorrow you get married or tomorrow your specific person shows up to you and asks to marry you, although that absolutely can happen. Never limit yourself to any possibilities. But most of the time, whatever you think is going to be the best course of action, or kind of like something that aligns logically with you, that's going to be the bridge of events. And this is something that Neville Goddard talked about all the time, but really do not get it confused. You are going to see the bridge of events take place, but that's not going to be the power and the reason that you received your manifestation. You received your manifestation because you assumed it within your imagination. So then going back, let's say you begin manifesting for a marriage with your specific person, and then you see them send you a text message. It is very easy to fall into the trap of, well, I know they sent me a text message, but I want to be married to them. I want to be dating. I want them to be calling me, texting me every single second of the day. But if you take a moment to really think about how that makes you feel, think about it. You're focusing specifically and creating assumptions, focusing on exactly what you don't want, right? Because think about what I just said. Everything coming out of my mouth was reasons why our specific person doesn't like us or doesn't want to communicate with us, because they're not, if they wanted to, they would sort of idea. What if instead we imagined our imagination like a apple on an apple tree, or a peach on a peach tree, or whatever sort of fruit or vegetable that's going to grow? It is very easy to look at that fruit or vegetable when it's very small and be like, well, that's not what I want. That can't feed me. I can't eat that. It's very easy to do that when we are putting our attention and energy on our external reality. But if we begin to shift that to our imagination and change our assumptions in that way, we're going to know that this little growth of apple is perfect, like we planted the seed of our imagination or in our imagination for our manifestation, and it is currently growing in the best and most amazing possible way. Because if we are taking the example of the apple tree, it's in our logical mind, we have the assumption that the apple tree must grow the apple for a set amount of time before it actually becomes edible. Now again, do not let any of these assumptions kind of limit you. If you want to wake up to your apple tree being full of apples the next day, you absolutely can. I would just, in that case, focus on, why do you feel as if your apples can't grow overnight? And again, you can do the same thing when it comes to your specific person. If you really want to get married tomorrow to your specific person, that's absolutely possible. We just have to focus on the assumptions and look at them, or ask yourself, why do I feel like it can't happen tomorrow? And then begin to change those, and you're going to see that you get married tomorrow. I would say most people don't really want to get married tomorrow. They do want to date, talk, go through this whole stage. But then if you're manifesting for your assumption, and those are your assumptions that you want, then you're going to see that thing and bridge of events take place for you. But again, I'm getting off track. Going back to the idea of that apple, or that little apple growing into a larger apple, in our mind, we need to maintain the idea and the assumption of the larger apple that it's growing into through the bridge of events as compared to our manifestation, instead of focusing on the fact that it is only a little apple right now. To focus on our apple, vegetable, whatever you want it to do, being so small and not being what we want is to limit ourselves totally and focus only exclusively on our external reality. But then take a moment and really think about that idea. If you truly felt as if the apple was this size and that's all it's going to grow into, that is really, really frustrating, right? And it's only going to cause resentment, worry, anxiety, and this same thing happens when it comes to the manifestation of your specific person. We are the creators of our reality, and we can turn a positive into a negative or a negative into a positive. I think the quote is making a hell of heaven and a heaven of hell. But if instead we begin to focus and remain in our assumption, we know that it is already done. And the only thing that we have to then focus on, again, is our end state, and our reality and our subconscious mind are going to take care of the rest of it for us. Because if you then look at that little apple growing into the big apple, you're going to be very confident that it is going to happen. There's no doubt in your mind. So why don't we then take this confidence that we have with the growing of the apple and then place it on to our manifestation of our specific person? Why not have that absolute faith that you two are going to be together, that they're going to text you more, pursue you, exactly fit those assumptions? And I know when it comes to growing an apple, we don't have a lot of worry or fear that it's not going to grow into an apple. So that's an assumption that's very easy for us to take on. But then when it comes to the manifestation of your specific person, if you can then take your mind off of it, and anytime you find yourself focusing on the less than positive, switch your attention to exactly what you want, you're going to see that you remain in the state, and it's so much easier to have the faith that your manifestation is already here, and it just takes a little bit of time for your reality to kind of reflect that. So the next time your specific person messages you and you think, well, it's not a phone call, or the next time they call you and you go, well, it's not a date, and the next time they date you, you go, well, we're not married, I want you to take a step back and understand and know and have the most amount of gratitude you could ever have for that simple idea, for that one singular text, for the phone call, for the date, for the marriage. Have as much gratitude as you can absolutely muster, and you will see all of these bridge of events take place much faster. Because think about the assumptions that we're having. If our specific person messages us and we're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, we're on the bridge of events, everything is happening perfectly, then you're going to see your assumptions align much quicker, much easier, and then your reality reflects in the same way, because now the assumption and knowing that you're going to be with your specific person becomes that much more true for you. And then when something is very true and feels very natural to you, you see it reflect in your external reality that much quicker. So I want you guys to try this out and let me know how it feels for you and what kind of results you get. Imagine that, again, your manifestation is that seed you planted and you're growing it. It's perfect. Assume the state and know that everything is working out perfectly. And if you ever begin to worry, remember that if you were growing an apple tree and there was a little bud on there of an apple, you wouldn't focus on specifically this apple being the end result. That would be absolutely outrageous. You would know it is growing perfectly. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to put in any effort. Everything is happening perfectly because that's exactly what's happening with your manifestation. If you did have any questions on this video, make sure to leave it in the comments section below. Also remember, you can reach out to me on my website if you just had a personal question or you wanted to reach out for one-on-one coaching at kyleaugustcoaching.com. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, and then don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you guys so much for coming out today to hang out with me, and I'll see you in the next video.